This is Joe LaGiglia, and on today's episode of the Mortgage Message Show, we're going to talk about the latest interior designs of 2020. Welcome, everyone, to episode 5 of the Mortgage Message Show. My name is Joe LaGiglia, and today I'm joined by my dear friend, Jan Bromberek of the Decorating Den Interiors, the award-winning interior design company here in the Midwest. We are here today in Jan's beautifully decorated home. Jan, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Joe.
Absolutely. So Jan and I, we've had such a long history of working together. She's actually helped design my own home that we'll talk about. But Jan, we wanted to have you on the show because we wanted to talk about there's so many people entering the market, exiting the market, so much happening in the interior design world. And I think I wanted to start the interview by saying, what are some of the top trends happening in 2020, as crazy of a year as it's been?
It is a crazy year. It is. Well, I'll tell you what, the top trend in decorating right now is really bringing technology into decorating. I mean, our entire world has gone techno crazy, right? How many of us thought we were going to be doing Zoom calls to communicate with each other? Right. So technology has become a part of decorating when, even with things like window treatments, where we can have them remote, blinds opening remotely, draperies opening remotely. We're all so tied to our cell phones that need to be charged because we're on them 24 hours a day. That furniture now has remote charging built right into it. Nightstands, headboards, sofas and chairs all have the what's the little thing called? I don't even remember what the actual true name of it is, but you plug your phone right into what you're sitting in. So all of those type of things are built. People are, all of the manufacturers are thinking about how can we make this, truly built into technology. I recently went to a class and I was blown away when they have where you can talk to your Google or your Siri and say, Siri, open the blinds. I mean, literally, one of the guys was telling me about how his 9-year-old wakes up every morning and says, Siri, open my blinds. And his blinds all open in his bedroom. I mean, that's a pretty spoiled 9-year-old. He doesn't even have to get out of bed and go use the muscle. But remember when we didn't have remote control TVs? Of course, I'm probably aging myself here now, but technology is big in the decorating world.
So good. Yeah. Well, and we see technology happening for our industry and all industries, so it only makes sense that it enters your industry. This year, as we've talked about, has been an incredible year for the housing market. And I bring it up, I shared it in the open that when we purchased our first home, my wife and I, you being longtime family friends of ours, we were very overwhelmed with that initial process of moving into this brand new home, wanting to make it our own. And you did such an incredible job of sitting down with us, talking us through the process, really identifying what was most important to us, prioritizing things that were in the future. And I guess I just wanted to kind of have you touch on the first-time home buyer or last-time home buyer, whoever is buying a new home. Talk a little bit about kind of that process of someone meeting with you and talking about what's important to them and how you work them through your process.
Well, when you buy a home for the first time, you are overwhelmed no matter what, because first of all, you have the pride that you've bought your very first home. But then you have multiple rooms that you really need to look at, and you need to turn that home into your personal home. So you've got a lot of rooms you need to look at, and you think you need to do it all at once. And the biggest mistake that we find as a decorator is that you start doing it all at once because you don't take the time to really think about what you really want and the function of what all of those rooms are going to be. How are you going to use those? You're just interested in making it look nice and pulling it all together, and you don't really think about how you're going to live in that room or live in those rooms or use that home. So it does become very overwhelming. And when you're already in a home and you're adding little things here and there, you don't think about the money that you're spending. But let's face it, when you have a brand new home that's empty, it can be very daunting to spend, it takes a lot of money to bring it all together because you have nothing in there. Or if you're bringing things from another home, ideally, I always said you should be able to start scratch in a brand new home with brand new things. But financially, we usually can't always do that. But, you really want to kind of concentrate on each room. And we really like to talk people into taking a step back. Have a plan. Think about the room, what you're doing in that room. What are your priorities? What room are you going to be using the most at first? If you're trying to kind of show it off a little bit, because pride does become involved in your home, then think about the rooms that people are going to be seeing the most. They're probably not going to be seeing your master bedroom. They're going to be seeing your family room and kitchen. That's kind of the hub of your home. So let's talk about maybe starting in that area. If you have kids and you want to get them comfortable in their new surroundings, maybe start with their rooms and make those a little more personal so they're comfortable in that new space. So there is a plan that we try to guide people into. And as much as, sure, we'd love to be able to do the whole home because it's a great job for us as a designer. But really, you want to kind of take a step back, think about what's priority, what's the best thing for you to do, where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck, and let's start with that plan. And we find most people, when they see a room come together and they see it all happening and they see the end result, then they like to move on to the next room. Instead of just a little bit in each room, they don't really see the whole overall look. So let's start with one room and bring it all together, see the end result, be happy with that, and then move on to the next one.
Such great advice. I recall when we moved in and how helpful you were for that moment to make that transition. Speaking of that, we just got done staying in our homes for many, many months, and a lot of people had a lot of time to look around that home and notice that there was some upgrades that they wanted. So to the person who's been in their home for a little bit of time and in the near future doesn't have any idea of wanting to move and wanting to settle where they're at, kind of talk about how, if there is a design project that they have on their wish list, when do they start to get Jan Bromberek from Decorating Den involved?
Well, I like to think that if you're really thinking about starting up a room project, we like to start in the first initial thinking, because we can help you with that planning process. It really should be a plan. I mean, we kind of talk to people about when you plan a vacation for your year, you usually spend so much time planning 2 weeks out of your entire life.
It's
right?
a great analogy.
So why not take a plan, even if you're not going to do, let's say you're upgrading your kitchen, even if you're not going to do it for another 6 to 9 months, let's start a plan, because you need to kind of think about the different things you want to add to that kitchen. Maybe you're looking at new appliances. Maybe you're looking at new countertops. There's a lot of choices that are out there that we want to show you over time so that you can have a lot of different choices. You get educated about what's out there, and then you can make the best decision for yourself.
So great.
So
great.
yeah, it's never too early to start the plan.
Absolutely.
Let's put it that way.
A question that has come up so many times with clients that have come to me that I've referred your way that you've always been able to handle with such grace is, is there a difference in the size of the project to get an interior design professional involved? Is there a limit to that? Is there something too small, too big? You've always been able to handle every call, but just curious for the audience to how is someone out there thinking, is there a certain project I shouldn't call an interior design about? Any insight on that?
I honestly don't really believe that there's a too small of a project or too large of a project. If you really need help, I mean, let's face it, if it's a small project and you don't know what you're doing, you need to call someone. If it's a super large project and you don't know what you're doing, you need to call someone. It really doesn't matter, because you can make a mistake in the smallest. If you're just picking out a comforter for a bed and you don't know what you're doing, you can make a mistake. Mm-hmm. So yeah, don't ever consider your project too small. Any good interior designer will not turn you down on a small project, or what you consider a small project. Or again, what you consider a small project may not be a small project to us. Or let's say we start with what you consider as a small project and we see something else in your home that might need some attention. We can always say, when we're done with this, I'd like to suggest that you do this in another room, because it can certainly improve that room. So we can be a step ahead of you and give you a plan for the next project.
That's fantastic. That consulting side is so important, and you bring such a good touch to that. Speaking to the person who's watching this interview who may have an intention to sell, and they're thinking that they may want to do some things to the home to make it more attractive to a certain type of buyer, what type of advice would you give to somebody as far as the necessity of involving an interior designer for the potential sale of a home?
Well, when you live in a home, you stop looking at it through the eyes of someone else. You're used to it. I always find when I take pictures of someone's home and I go back for that second visit to do their presentation and I show them the pictures, or even when I look at the pictures, it is so telltale what you see that is the problem areas. It's kind of like, you don't realize how large your home really is until you go on vacation and live in a hotel room for a week. Right. And then you come home and you think, wow, my bedroom really is a pretty decent size, right? So when there's issues or when your home starts to become cluttered, you're used to that because you've been living with it, and you need someone else to show you through their eyes that, okay, you've got this pile over here, or you've got these baskets all over here. What are they doing? So you need the eyes of someone else to help you with those things. So it's just having someone else kind of lead you in that direction. You get used to your own home. So you need someone else to direct you what they're seeing and what could be potential issues that someone else may see. Or even say, this is you've done a great job here. Let's do that in the next room. When someone else is looking to buy a home, there's always things that you should do. Any realtor will tell you there's always some things you should do, like clear out some of the personal things and so forth. But there's also things you should do to upgrade your home if you're looking at selling, like kitchens and bathrooms. Those are always big things you need to look at, because those are things people that are looking at new homes are going to really study. They can change and do facelifts on rooms, like painting and changing out draperies and things, but kitchens and bathrooms, they really want to make sure that they don't have to do main potentially costful things too. Yeah. When they're looking at new homes. So good, so good.
So, with both of us being connected to the service industry and being professionals in this industry for a very long time, I always question when someone may have a DIY or do-it-yourself perspective, and I appreciate it. And our services are for a specific clientele, but I would love to address the audience member who may be saying, well, this is something that I can do myself. And again, no wrong answer, no wrong direction, but just kind of your perspective with all the different homes over the years that you have assisted, and some of the people who have come to you who started out as DIY and then they contacted you. Kind of just touch on that a little bit if you can.
We get those calls every day, Joe. And sometimes we think, oh, they're a do-it-yourselfer, but really, I was a do-it-yourselfer when I started this business. That's what got me into this business. So we do have to respect that. And I respect that people enjoy that process. There's a lot of people that enjoy decorating, but there is an art to it. There is an education to it. And I can tell when I go into someone's home who is a do-it-yourselfer, I can tell when there's things that they haven't done correctly that they don't realize, because there is form and function, there is scale, there are things that we have learned that help pull everything together that they don't quite recognize, and that's why in the end, as much as they enjoy decorating, that's why they eventually call us and say, I love to do this, but I can't quite figure out what's wrong or why it just doesn't look like a professionally decorated home. So we ask people in our initial telephone interview, what we call our discovery call, we ask people if they like to, go out and do things themselves. We explain how we work, and we respect that. But when we actually go into the home, we'll ask them, what do you want from us, and what do you want to do yourself? And if they like to go out and source things out themselves, that's fine. But then we'll lead them to helping them understand the scale of things, or why certain things, like why should the largest piece, like your sofa, be on your largest wall? Or a number of times I've walked into a master bedroom and the bed is on the wrong wall, because they just don't understand that there's a reason why those things should be on those walls. So I respect a do-it-yourselfer, but they still need a little bit of guidance. There's nothing wrong with them calling a professional. In fact, I think working with a professional is just a way to enhance that do-it-yourself person's ability. So, and it can be, it can be just an hourly consultation that helps them figure out what they've done, and then they can continue on.
So good. So
Not
good.
a problem.
Absolutely. Well, Jan, thank you so much for being our interior designer, and thank you for helping so many clients within my mortgage business. Jan, if anyone's watching and they want to take you up on that offer to just reach out, have a conversation, see if it's a good fit, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
They can call us at our office, 630-369-2476, or you can email me at janb@decoratingden.com.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for tuning into today's show. If you found any value in this, please share it with your networks, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care, everyone.